Hey guys, Station X here, and today I'm pretty excited because we're going to be debuting a brand new series where basically I take you guys on this journey of mine where I try to get every single Nintendo Switch game on the Nintendo Switch library. But here's the thing, right? They're still making new games for this thing all the time. And so basically with this series, I've already shown like every single Switch game that I've ever had in my library, and I also did a part 2 to that. So you could say those are like prologues to this series. Basically, I wanted to just kind of show off all the different Nintendo Switch games that you might not see or give a second glance at a video game store. For instance, there's a lot of really unique, weird, and just outright bizarre games that are on the Nintendo Switch, ranging from full $60 games to as low as $20. And so this series kind of gives light to those games that most people might overlook. And so something I wanted to mention real quick before we get into today's video is that if you guys really enjoy my videos and want to help support the channel, a like and subscribe is always well appreciated, as well as a new feature that I've unlocked recently, the Super Thanks, gives you a way to support me even further by just doing a Super Thanks, and I'll be able to see that in the comments below. But with that being said, let's get into today's video here and show off the Switch games I got for this video. And I mean, the first one we got to start off with is AEW Fight Forever. Now, this game is kind of interesting because, of course, this is a wrestling game that's not WWE related. And the last time a wrestling game was on the Switch was a WWE game. And if we don't count the Battlegrounds one, the 2K18 one was the only real like simulated wrestling game that was on the Switch, and that did not do very well. Now, of course, AEW Fight Forever isn't necessarily a simulation wrestling game. It's more arcadey, like the No Mercy games back in the day. But, you know, it's still in like, this is AEW's first forte into video games, and this took a long time to come out. So I'm really hoping this does well and that, you know, it's a lot of fun. But from what I've seen, it looks pretty good. Power Wash Simulator. Now, this is one of our full game download ones, no game card included, which kind of sucks. But I've seen plenty of videos online of Power Wash Simulator, and I just can't get enough of them because I don't know what it is. It's very much a power wash simulator. There's nothing exciting about it other than you're just cleaning stuff up, but it's just really fun to not only play with friends with, in my opinion, but I like those kind of simulator games in a sense. The more recent games that just came out not too long ago, barely a couple of days ago, was Pikmin 4. Something I want to point out here, because of course digitally you have Pikmin 1 and 2, and that's coming out physically sometime in September, and of course Pikmin 3 got ported over. With Pikmin 4 here, there are 4 Pikmins, right? And all 4 of them can be played on the Nintendo Switch. And you could play all 4 Pikmins before you could play all 4 Metroid Prime games, which I thought was a very funny fact there. That you could play the entire Pikmin series, but you cannot play the entire Metroid Prime series, which is just the dumbest thing ever. You know, it is what it is with that. Minecraft Legends. Now, Minecraft has had so many spin-offs. We had the first one, which is story mode, then we had dungeons, and now Minecraft Legends. Now, as far as all the Minecraft versions on Switch, besides, of course, the regular one, the only one I am missing is the story mode one, but this one looks pretty interesting as well. Bayonetta. This is a spin-off of Bayonetta. I guess you could say prequel or so. I have all the other Bayonettas, so I had, you know, this one came out, I had to get this one. It's like Bayonetta Origins, The Lost Demon. Here we have Art of Rally. I kind of just picked it up because it looked interesting. I like the cover of it, and I mean, you're just basically playing as a car and just driving around doing stuff. So I mean, that's pretty interesting to me. Autonauts. This is another one that was kind of a little weird and wacky, and I do like my weird and wacky stuff. So this one definitely caught my eye with that, because it kind of reminds me a little bit of those like rip-off Minecraft looking games. And when I say rip-off Minecraft looking games, it's just the way it looks, right? Like blocky. Like Roblox is like that, where like the characters are blocky in some games. You know, of course, Minecraft is very blocky. So when, you know, Castle Miner is another one. But when you have like this kind of blocky art style, it's kind of what I call the Minecraft ripoff in a sense. I have Cruisin' Blast USA, very much like a arcade racing game. This really much reminds me of when I would go into an arcade and play like one of those like really fast-paced racing games. I always had like a picture of what they look like in my head, and it's just like, this is exactly what it looks like. And I mean, this is one of those things where you would kind of want to have like one of those I would say like simulated racing wheels and stuff like that, where you can kind of just sit there and kind of pretend like you're in an arcade machine and do that, which I do have the Mario Kart wheel, so this could be one of those games I use that for. And speaking of Metroid Prime, we have Metroid Prime Remastered. Now this one I actually had gotten a while ago, but I wanted to save it for this kind of video, as of course I did open it and started playing it a bit. It has a reversible cover too, which will match with your spine if you're ever worried about it not matching with the rest of your games here on the shelf. But Metroid Prime Remastered, I was very curious on why they did not do 1, 2, and 3 like all together as like a trilogy instead of just doing them separately. And while I guess I kind of like this idea because of the fact that you could have them separately represented on a shelf, and I guess collectors wise it just looks cool. But practicality and money wise, it just doesn't make any sense to me, like for the customer to buy 3 of them separately. This was $40, so if they did 2 and 3, I would imagine it'd be the same thing. And then of course you'd have 4 that would hopefully come out at some point. And that it is a really fun game. And also just I like the fact that they did add another way to play. You have the original control scheme that they had from the GameCube. You have the Wii version, plus they have like the brand new, basically modern version where it plays the camera basically plays exactly how like a Call of Duty or a Battlefield or a Halo would play, where you could use both thumbsticks basically. Because the GameCube didn't do that for whatever reason. Here we have House Flipper. It is literally what the title suggests. You buy, you renovate, and you sell. Another one of those like kind of weird, quirky simulator games that I thought was really cool and just wanted to pick up for the Switch. Lego City Undercover. You know, this is of course Lego City. I have the Wii version, or I guess like the Wii U version, and this one's pretty neat. I wanted to get it for Switch because I've always really wanted to sit down and fully play it and complete it, but I just hate plugging in my Wii U, if I'm gonna be honest, because after getting the Switch and stuff, I just never had a reason to plug in the Wii U, and especially as the years went by of them just porting over all this Wii U games, basically either every single Wii U game almost has either a direct sequel that replaces the first one, a remaster, or just a straight up port where there's like no difference. And so you know, it's just one of those things where like this was one of those cases where they just kind of straight up ported it, and I don't need to play the Wii U version anymore. Plus this is also a little less annoying because while I did like the fact that this game used things that the Wii U could do that other consoles didn't, it also was just a little annoying to play it with that. So this doesn't need that, of course. Of Tales of Symphonia remasters, we have a lot of remasters. The 8th and 9th generation, like Xbox One, PS4, PS5, Series X, Switch, has a lot of remasters in it. And this is no exception. This is another GameCube remaster, because I believe, if I remember correctly, because there's a lot of different Tales games, but Tales of Symphonia was like, I believe it was on the GameCube, I know for sure, as a double disc. And so now we have it here on the Nintendo Switch, and it's pretty nice. I remember playing it on the GameCube and enjoyed my time with this, so this would be another portable version of a game that I have, and it looks better now. And here we have a Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy, the Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line, which is basically just a rhythm game with, of course, a bunch of very classic Final Fantasy music throughout the different games and stuff. But of course, it's not just any regular rhythm game. Of course, there's some battle mechanics in a way similar to the Kingdom Hearts one, as Kingdom Hearts has one as well, like a rhythm game on the Switch, so that's pretty neat. SpongeBob SquarePants Krusty Cook-Off Extra Krusty Edition. Now, I believe, if I remember correctly, I have the SpongeBob remaster, like the rehydrated. I had that new one. I know I have that new one that they came out with for Switch. And then they released this. It's like, I think, like very similar to like a mobile game. And they just basically put it on Switch and stuff. And so I mean, I'm a big fan of SpongeBob. I practically grew up with the thing, and so I have to get basically any kind of SpongeBob game they put in, and plus there's a poster inside. You can't go wrong with that. Finishing up this pile here, we have Genesis Noir, another just again really interesting game. This one I solely bought because of the cover, because the cover here sold me on it. I mean, look at how nice that looks. I have no idea what this game's actually like super about. I'm sure like a lot of the really weird and unique games are either just kind of platformers or they're RPGs most of the time, but you know, they're not just like your run-of-the-mill platformer RPGs. They obviously do have like their own unique art style and stuff like that to it, and this one I don't think is any exception. I mean, this just looks nice. Based off the cover, it just looks really good. And then we have Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. This is a Wii port, or a port remaster, whatever you want to call it. All these kind of blend together to me, honestly. They like to throw these words under the same umbrella sometimes, but I mean, this is basically just the Wii version on Switch, which is kind of nice. It's nice that they were kind of digging into the regular Wii's library as well, because there was a lot of games on the Wii that I would love to play on the Nintendo Switch, as well as, you know, ones from GameCube, of course, and they're starting to pull from the Wii and GameCube as well, so that's pretty cool. Hopefully we get a Smash Brothers Melee. You know, that's a little too much to ask for, I think. But here we have Kirby's Return to Dreamland, and I mean, I think this makes the third Kirby game on the Switch that's like physical, at least. I think there's a fourth one on there. But we have Return to Dreamland, Forgotten Land, and the Air Stars, Superstars Allies, something like Allies. I forget what the name is. That's the only one I don't have, so because it didn't look interesting to me. But this one was cool. I have the Wii version, and I had a lot of fun with it. That ends that pile. Here we're gonna go on to the second pile here, and we have Security Breach, another game that came out fairly recently. I want to say about a week or two ago, as far as Switch is concerned, because the game's been out for quite a bit now. And this one's a bit different from your typical Five Nights at Freddy's games, because, you know, obviously, normally you would just sit at a security desk or whatever and just not get caught by the animatronics. But this one, you actually kind of roam around and stuff, so this is kind of cool in that sense, and it, of course, continues the story of WarioWare Get It Together. Of course, this is just kind of basically your average WarioWare game, and those are always quite fun, and this one's just specifically the Switch version, and I just love the use of the Joy-Cons here. But yeah, I mean, this was one of those first-party titles that I didn't have for the longest time, along with that Kirby game I mentioned. And then I also believe I'm missing the Yoshi game. There's a Yoshi game on there that I'm missing as well. DC Justice League Comic Chaos. This one, again, was one of those ones that just looked really interesting to me. And of course, while I'm more of a Marvel fan, and I will always stand by Marvel versus DC, I do like a lot of DC stuff as well. I mean, specifically, of course, Batman. I think a lot of people very much enjoy Batman. But I also really like Superman from his comics, because I do believe most of the time, I would say about like 80% of the time, when Superman is in like movies and stuff, I just don't think they know how to write him without him basically being just like, hey, I'm Superman, generic Superman. He actually has a personality if you look into the comic books that he's in. But I mean, hey, like this was kind of like a chibi version, I guess you could say. You know, the art style is very cutesy and stuff, so that's pretty nice. And of course, you also get like a little keychain, so that's pretty cool. You have Eden Chronicle Rising. I hope I pronounced that right. But again, this was another like anime style cover art, and I really do like my anime style cover arts. And then or art covers, whatever you want to say, but like this one was it just caught my attention because of the way it looked, basically. I just want to pull both of these out because we have Octopath Traveler 1 and 2. Now these are in that pile of Square Enix games that are like, they're RPGs that are not Final Fantasy basically, and they look very similar to things like Bravely Default and Triangle Strategy. They all look kind of the same to me. They all blend together, those RPGs from Square Enix, because this basically kind of reminds you a bit of like what Square used to do back in the Super Nintendo, these 2D RPG games, and these are fairly fun. I do think that there was more popularity for this one in comparison to this one. I didn't see people get as excited for this than compared to the first one, at least you know, at least nowadays. Because at first, obviously, when the second one came out, it was popping off. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. I think this is probably the last of the Legacy collections they could possibly do, because this is like their fourth one. They did the main series, they did the Mega Man X games, then they had the ZX thing, I forget what that was, and then here we have Battle Network. And this one was a hard game to find. I could not get this game anywhere. I had it pre-ordered, and because I wasn't there for that weekend that it was out, that window of them holding it for me kind of went by, and so my copy got sold, and I had to go find another one. But I was able to find another one for, thankfully, retail price, because this thing was skyrocketing. Same thing with Metroid Prime Remastered. That was a really hard game to get for a while. And here we have Predis. I really hope I pronounced the game right, because some of these titles I just can't figure out how to pronounce them properly. But again, this was one of those ones where I just thought the cover looked really cool, and that's what kind of caught my eye. Apparently, this is a first-person shooter game that, from what I could see here, I guess it kind of brings you back to like the days of like Doom, Quake, Duke Nukem Forever, those fast-paced first-person shooter games, which that's pretty cool. Here's another really hard game to get, at least at the time. Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. Of course, again, another remaster. And I never had the original version of this. I believe it was on Game Boy Advance, if I'm not mistaken. And so this is my first time where it's basically just a strategy game. Very, like, you have like armies versing each other and stuff, and so that's pretty neat. It looked really cool, so I figured I'd give it a shot. Here we have Dragon Ball Breakers, or The Breakers special edition here. I mean, this one, I just bought it because I was like trying to get into Dragon Ball games for a bit, and I never even got a chance to really play this. I opened this with the intention of playing it, but I just never got around to it, because I'm gonna be honest with you. As far as games are concerned, unless it's like a fighting game, or if it's the Budokai games, not very into them. I like the old ones, but I'm not very into the newer ones. Like Kakarot, I was not a super fan of. Xenoverse was fine. You know, Fighters was good. I mean, of course, I really do like the show. I caught like, I'm not like a hardcore fan of it. I just casually watch it, and I think it's fine. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I wanted to try to get back into them and stuff, but it was just like, I don't know. Not a big fan of the newer ones. And then here for these last piles, basically, because they all have the same reason for why I bought them. They're all part of that wacky kind of like, hey, they looked cool. 8 Doors. That one's a cool one. Void. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the rest of that. Signals. Risen. Demon Throttle and Cult of Land were like the two biggest ones that I was like, yes, let me get these, because these look really cool. These both had special editions, which I didn't bother to get because I felt like it was just there wasn't enough in there for me to really go, yes, I want them. But I guess if you guys are interested in me finding the special editions to do a video on, please let me know in the comments below. But basically all of these games here fall into that. The cover looked really cool, and so I thought, why not? Let's give it a try. I think these look like really awesome art style wise, because I draw a lot, so I really like when companies put time and effort into their cover arts, because that basically, this is what sells you on the game if you don't watch trailers and stuff, especially back in the day before, you know, like internet and like video game commercials were like really a focal point in advertising. Like, basically you had to go into the store, look at the game and go, this looks neat, and then there you go. That basically sold your decision on what games you were gonna buy. That'll basically be it for part 1 of Road to Switch. These are all the games I have here in this pile today, and so we're right around the 200 right around like 200 Switch games about. As these videos progress, I'm going to start having a counter here of how many games I have for the Switch at that current time. So yeah, that'll basically be it for today. And like I said in the beginning of the video, if you do enjoy my content and want to support me even further, Like and subscribe is always very much appreciated, as well as a super thanks. I've been Station X, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.